Chapter 408. Unlike other heavy and formal parties, a party held for the sole purpose of charity fundraising or interaction between relatives like the one opened today was traditionally the responsibility of the wives. Therefore, nobody particularly minded the fact that Baron Wilhelm, having merely greeted the guests, had disappeared, as long as the Baroness maintained her place. Dancing wasn't even considered an essential part of the event. In reality, as soon as the first song began, those who rushed out to dance were mostly vibrant young people. The older ones were more engrossed in polite conversation or admiring the beautiful pieces of art placed throughout the hall. But what about Duke Paleta, who was rumored to enjoy playing more than eating? Good music makes the body itch. As Kishir listened to the music and opened his mouth, the eyes of those around him were drawn to Yudhar. There were piercing glances of curiosity, wondering if a commoner who knew nothing about dancing could possibly cling to Duke even here. Yudhar responded to their expectations by deliberately showing discomfort. Then I may be over there for a while. Go ahead. As Kishir promptly permitted, a knowing smile mixed in the eyes of the aristocrats. Yudhir saw Kishir, who had been glancing around, approach the Baroness, who was alone, and then extended his hand, then turned his back. Immediately, a few of those who had been with Kishir approached and began to speak as if they had been waiting. Hey, look at this. Yudhir, did you say? I want to hear a bit about what happened in the Great Serene Forest. You fool, it's Yudhir Ale. Yudhir left only the words, I'm sorry, but it's difficult now, while coldly cursing under his expressionless face and quickly moved on. His appearance, as he shook off the another request and escaped to an area where the hall could not be seen, looked like a commoner's flight filled with shame to anyone who saw it. Just as I thought, that's his limit, came a voice filled with scorn and pleasure. Yudhir headed toward the table filled with small and beautiful foods prepared for the party guests to eat, leaving those voices behind. Despite the great care taken to prepare the foods, almost none of the aristocrats attending the party had come this far. Only servants scurrying to carry uneaten food was seen around. Yudhir stood in front of the three-tiered plate containing a bite-sized food made of thinly baked square crackers topped with whipped cream and fruit, and puckered his lips around a bright golden wine glass. A maid who had come to add new food to the plate stood beside Yudhir, her head bowed. I don't recognize any of the food. The maid's hand paused for a moment at Yudhir's mumbled words, spoken as though to himself, his lips hidden behind the glass. She had her long hair coiled up under her hat and possessed ash-colored hair, rarely seen in the Empire. This maid was none other than Marti, the non-noble born from the village of Star of Nagran, who had lost her memory and was rescued by the cavalry. That's the case for everyone. Marty almost imperceptibly whispered. Yudhir continued to fix his gaze on the table, taking small steps along the side. Where might the person who commanded the making of these pitiful dishes be now? Before coming up here, I saw a butler politely escorting someone wrapped in a cloak towards the back. While coldly answering, Marty continued to put down food and repeatedly arranged it to make it look beautiful. From a distance, it would have been impossible to tell that they were having a conversation. I wonder which will happen first, the plates on this table emptying or the carriages outside disappearing. Regrettably, 3 have already vanished, so there is no point in betting. 3. A bird with 4 wings, a sword with a split end, a sprout with red leaves. As the words finished, A new maid appeared carrying another plate. Marty gave a nod to Yudhir and then calmly turned to go back the way she came. No one paid any attention to the ordinary looking maid. Yudhir continued to walk, holding the glass. As he returned to where the dancers were gathered, eager eyes pounced on him again as if expecting some amusing diversion. Soon, as song ended and Kishir was lightly kissed the back of the lady's hand in greeting, to leave such a wonderful dancer, where has the Baron gone? Shouldn't the next dance be with the Baron? No, my husband has left for a moment to see our daughters. As her husband was mentioned, a faint unease and caution surfaced in the Baroness' eyes, which had been half dazed while dancing. Is that so? When he returns, I must apologize for stealing the opportunity to enjoy our first dance. Kishir laughed cheerfully and retreated. Yudhir watched this and then turned to head to a nearby empty lounge. The eyes of those finding the situation intriguing followed him. Upon entering the dim lounge with a large window, gave a strong impression of a small bedroom with a curtainable bed and unusually soft sofa. The room was dimly lit, not for the guests' comfort, but actually to help those enjoying secret liaisons during the party to conceal their identities, a fact known to all. Yudhir sat on the sofa, looking out at the brightly moonlit window, sipping the liquor in his hand. To him, it was no different from water, but it was in fact quite strong. 1 sip, 2 sips, 3 sips. Slowly, but at a regular pace, just as he swallowed the third sip, the door opened and a familiar fragrance wafted in. A shadow engulfed Yudhir, the sofa sinking as lips met, and the door closed with a harsh noise. Finally, all the astonished gasps and familiar murmurs that had been seeping through the tiny crack disappeared. The intense intruder, after intertwining and sucking the alcohol soaked tongue, pulled away. It had been just a few seconds, but the heat that was ignited in the darkness and the breathing was hotter than ever before. Yudhir slowly blinked, staring intently at Kishir's eyes as he pulled away. Suddenly, between the two pairs of eyes where flames of passion was burning, a soft laugh broke out. How is it outside? So far, there are no signs of the Star of Nagran infiltrating here. As expected, Baron Wilhelm has headed to the security management team, and among the attendees, the families of Cheers, Belfrand, and Kettle have already taken their carriages and left. They are the ones from the last year's list, escaping well. Yes. A cold smile danced on Kishir's moist lips before it vanished. I was a little concerned that they might suddenly suspect the identities of those working on the day, but it seems there is no need. If they doubt Marty and the others, it would be tantamount to doubting Prince Pruel himself, so that's not possible. At the party hosted by the Wilhelm family today, many amnesiacs, including Marty, had come in as temporary workers. Having lost and then recovered their memories, they willingly volunteered to keep watch, identifying any covert infiltration by Nahan or the Star of Nagran, and silently observing the movements of those departing for the auction and the people of the Wilhelm family. Neither Baron Wilhelm nor anyone else doubted the true identities of Pruel and his information providers who had been taken under his wing. Even Yudhir, who had expected increased vigilance due to Robel's previous attempts to infiltrate as a servant to find those who had lost their memories, was astonishingly unchallenged. It was fortunate that Marty had such a good memory. Whether it was due to her strong willpower or not, having lost and then quickly regained her memory, Marty learned the crusts of the visiting families in the Wilhelm house faster than anyone and thoroughly memorized her duties. She had already sold her face, so she couldn't infiltrate the mansion and was assigned to the auction area instead, which greatly worried Rebel. But from what Yudhir saw when they spoke earlier, it had evidently been needless concern. Now then, it's time for the support. Kishi, taking the glass Yudhir had been holding, smiled regretfully as he removed his cloak from his shoulders. It was a special cloak that changed its material and appearance when turned inside out.